Welcome to this episode. Subscribe as soon as possible. Chapter 7. The Fragmentary Scroll in the Hidden Compartment. Lu Chen's fingertips trembled slightly on the ice-crack patterns of the root-kill porcelain washer. In the warm yellow glow of the desk lamp, the iridium 192 crystals in the body of the porcelain washer emitted a faint blue light, subtly resonating with the newly emerged light. Golden patterns in his palm lines. King Luan stood in front of the bookshelf. Her Jade Kong patterned silver bracelet lightly tapped the wooden spine of a book, and then she suddenly let out a suppressed exclamation. "Lu Chen, look at this!" Her voice carried a rare tremor as her fingers stroked a hard-covered notebook wrapped in the book cover of Tiangong Kai Wu. The hematite powder exposed at the edge of the cover sparkled under the desk lamp, showing an energy reaction identical to that of the Sishen mine cave. When Lu Chen turned around, he caught a glimpse of the birthmark on King Luan's wrist glowing faintly. The birthmark, shaped like the small eye pattern of a Lianzhu Jade Kong, had not faded since the resonance of the porcelain washer last night. The moment the words Lu Mingchu on the title page of the notebook caught his eye, his temples throbbed. Images of his father's last archaeological expedition before disappearing flashed through his mind. "It's my father's notebook." Lu Chen's hand trembled slightly as he took the notebook. The cracks on the cowhide cover exactly matched the glaze cracks of the porcelain washer. As King Luan leaned closer, he smelled the lingering star sand scent in her hair. It was the mineral she had sprinkled into the gaps of the porcelain pieces this morning to stabilize the geothermal vein frequency while restoring a Ming Dynasty blue and white porcelain. The pen writing on the inner pages was forceful enough to penetrate the paper. The date stopped at June 21st, 1998, 3 days before the Sishen mine disaster. Lu Chen's eyes scanned keywords such as defect rate 37.2% and geothermal vein core, and then he was suddenly attracted by a yellowed photo tia between the pages. His father stood in front of the Jade Kong carving at the Liangzhu site. Beside him was a strange man wearing black gloves. On the bronzeware between them were engraved the Sogdian words, "Flaws are doors." This person double quotes King Luan's fingertips while with a photo. "Is it Andre from the association?" Her pupils reflected the kill sacrifice diagram in the background of the photo, overlapping with the Song Dynasty kill sacrifice scene on the mural in his old residence. The birthmark on the wrist of the sacrificial girl was clearly visible. Lu Chen nodded and turned to the last page of the notebook. Next to a scrawled formula was a cross-sectional drawing of the root-kill porcelain washer. The 13th crack was circled in red, with the note "Human Right to Choose" beside it. Suddenly, King Luan pressed his hand and pointed to the patterns on the bronzeware in the photo. "This is the glaze drop pattern of Sogdian bronze, the same as the scar on the cuff of the killer who attacked us." The notebook dropped to the ground, revealing a fragmentary scroll that had slipped out of the hidden compartment. Lu Chen's pupils suddenly contracted. It was a fragment of the Secret Code of Kill Sacrifice, Part Wu. The ink on the mulberry bark paper became visible under the light of King Luan's birthmark. The scene of the Song Dynasty official kill sacrifice flowed on the wall. A girl wearing a kang was pushed into the kill fire. When she turned around, the birthmark she revealed was exactly the same as King Luan's. The 13th generation vessel ... quotes. King Luan's voice seemed to come from ancient times. On the back of her hand pressing the fragmentary scroll, the birthmark was resonating with the Sishen fibers in the paper pattern. "They called me Yuxin." Only then did Lu Chen notice the Sogdian annotations on the edge of the fragmentary scroll, which were exactly the same as the encrypted symbols in his father's diary. King Luan's fingertips brushed over the engraving, "Flaws are keys," and suddenly a star track projection emerged on the wall. Fragments of the Danhuang star map scroll were reassembled in the halo, pointing to the coordinates of the Sishen mine cave. On the day of the 1998 mine disaster, my father was carrying this fragmentary scroll. Lu Chen tightly held the bronze eyepiece. Memory fragments of his father being chased appeared in the mirror. He said that the 13th crack of the porcelain washer was a choice left for humanity. Suddenly, King Luan grabbed his wrist. The moment the birthmark touched the Mirror Master token, both of them simultaneously saw the illusion of the Song Dynasty official kill. The girl Yuxin stuffed a star sand bottle into the hands of the Mirror Master. The Sogdian incantation seals on the bottle body coincided with the patterns on Andre's bronze plate. Lu Chen felt a warmth in his nose, and blood dripped onto the fragmentary scroll, actually revealing a new star map among the paper patterns. This is the geothermal vein navigation system. King Luan's voice was mixed with the echo of the 1,000-year-old kill sacrifice. The previous 12 civilizations hid the defective genes in the cracks of cultural relics, and we are the key to the 13th experiment. Lu Chun completed the last kintsugi repair and embedded the fragmentary scroll into the notch of the mirror master token. Outside the window, a group of glaze-colored butterflies was flying towards the direction of Sishin. The ice crack patterns on their wings resonated with the porcelain washer, outlining the contour of a star map in the night sky. Suddenly, King Luan stumbled and held onto the desk. The light of her birthmark grew stronger, and the kill sacrifice diagram on the fragmentary scroll actually started to flow. Only then did Lu Chen notice the blood seeping from the back of her neck, spreading along the birthmark pattern into the shape of a Liangju jade con. It was the wound she had received this morning while blocking the Glaze Color Society killers, and now it was emitting a faint light of geothermal vein energy. What they want is not destruction. King Luan pressed her bleeding shoulder. The geothermal vein lines wandering in the fragmentary scroll were reflected in her pupils. It's to restart the kill sacrifice and make humanity return to the perfect cycle. Lu Chen tore off his tie and pressed it against her wound. When he touched her skin, he found that the temperature of the birthmark was abnormal. It was actually the same as the frequency of the bronze tripod at the geothermal vein core. He suddenly remembered what his father had written in the notebook. The blood of the vessel is not a sacrifice, but an interface for the symbiosis of the geothermal veins and humanity. Let's go to the mirror abyss. King Luan tore down the Sishan geothermal vein map on the wall. The star sand gathered into an arrow in her palm. Lao, you of the Glaze Color Society said that there lies the ... memory device of the previous 12 generations of vessels. Lu Chen completed her sentence. His gaze fell on the light, golden patterns on her wrist, the mark left in her jeans by the cracks of the porcelain washer during last night's resonance. He carefully put the fragmentary scroll into the mirror master toolbox. In the reflection of the bronze eyepiece, King Luan's birthmark overlapped with the 13th crack of the porcelain washer, forming a complete symbiosis symbol. When they walked out of the studio, the morning light was climbing up the glazed tiles of the Forbidden City. King Luan suddenly stopped and pointed to the mythical animals on the eaves of the Hall of Supreme Harmony. Look, its tail has been broken 3 times. Lu Chen followed her gaze. The kintsugi patterns at the broken parts were flickering with the geothermal vein energy, very similar to the Star Trek map in his father's diary. Flaws are the glaze color of civilization, King Luan said softly. Her birthmark glowed gently in the morning sun. And we are the ones responsible for making the cracks speak. Lu Chen opened the toolbox and took out the star sand bottle left by his father. The Sogdian script at the bottom of the bottle suddenly became visible. It was a set of longitude and latitude, exactly the same as the coordinates of the basement of King Luan's old residence. He reached out and touched her wrist. Both of them simultaneously heard the low hum of the geothermal veins, very much like the sound of porcelain cracking when the Song Dynasty official kill was opened. Let's go! King Luan pressed the king of Liangju Jade Kong on the fragmentary scroll. In the star map projection, 12 geothermal vein nodes lit up one by one. It's time to let humanity see the secrets their ancestors hid in the cracks. Lu Chen nodded. The mirror master token was hot in his palm. He suddenly remembered the postcard his father had sent before disappearing. On the back was only one sentence. When you see the cracks, the light is already within them. At this moment, he finally understood. Those scars all over civilization were never flaws to be covered up, but the symbiosis code connecting the past and the future. When King Luan turned around, Lu Chen caught a glimpse of new silver threads in her hair, the trace of the geothermal vein memories surging in during last night's resonance. He reached out to brush the star sand off her shoulder. Under the skin he touched, there were fine cracks like energies flowing, like the hidden galaxy under the glazed light of the porcelain washer. Does it hurt? He asked softly. This is the geothermal vein speaking. King Luan smiled brightly. The light of her birthmark and the bronze patterns in his eyepiece reflected each other. Listen, it's saying the 13th choice should be written by us ourselves. Outside the window, the group of glaze-colored butterflies was flying past the Meridian Gate. The crack patterns on their wings perfectly coincided with the gaps between the floor tiles of the Forbidden City. Lu Chen tightly held the fragmentary scroll in his hand and heard his heartbeat resonating with the geothermal veins. On this morning, he finally achieved a subtle harmony with the cracks of the 1,000-year-old civilization. This episode ends here. The next episode will be even more exciting. Subscribe now.